I picked this mid-century modern dresser out of the trash a few weeks ago, and today I'm going to show you how I went about fixing this pretty brutal doggy damage on the corner and then completely updated it with paint. Hello furniture friends, Katie here from Salvaged by K. Scott. I was so excited when we rolled up on this walnut veneer dresser out at the curb, but then when I got up close and saw this corner, my heart just sank. It's still got a great design though, and the rest of the piece is perfectly sound, so there's no good reason for this to go into the landfill. This is a walnut veneer over top of pressboard or particle board that's all attached to a nice solid wood frame. The top is pretty worn and marked up, and the original finish is starting to fail. There are a few little chips out of the veneer, aside from the giant chip that's missing on the bottom corner, of course. The drawers are all dovetailed, pretty clean and working great, and I love the hardware that's on here. But one of these top knobs is broken, so those are going to need to get swapped out. The first thing I always do when I start off a new project is to break things down and clean everything really well. This is my time to really get up close and personal with my project. Check out all of the drawer runners, make sure the joinery is good, and just look around for any other issues that are hiding and might need my attention. I like to wash things down with a heavy-duty degreaser. I have a TSP alternative mixed up in this spray bottle to remove any grease, oils, or old furniture polish residue that might be on the surface, so that when I start doing any sanding that I need to do, I'm not grinding that stuff down into the porous wood. Once I had this clean, I gave it a rinse down with some clear water and got a better look at this mess. All of the veneer on the edges of this damaged spot are still really well adhered, and structurally this piece of wood is totally okay. So I decided that I could rebuild this with some filler. I grabbed a couple of paint stir sticks to start making myself a little bit of a mold around this damage so that I can fill it up and form my new corner. And once I got that figured out, I wrapped my sticks in some painter's tape so that hopefully they didn't get stuck to my repair. I clamped all of those in place and then used some more tape just to secure the corner and cover up the bottom a little bit so that nothing oozed out the back. I'm going to use Bondo to fill this in. I've got a can of Bondo's Auto Body Filler on the go just because it's cheaper and a whole lot easier for me to find here in Canada. And it's actually the exact same product as their all-purpose filler. It's just in a different can. Bondo is a two-part epoxy style filler. You mix the base putty that's in the can with this separate tube of cream hardener, and those create a chemical reaction that hardens it to a substance that's harder than the wood and sometimes even harder than a rock. Because I've got such a huge spot to fill, I decided to try this hack that I saw my friend Erin at Refurbished Dish on Instagram do. She mixes up her Bondo in a plastic baggie and then snips off the corner so that you can use it like a piping bag. And when I saw her do this, I thought it was pure brilliance. It's a little bit fiddly to get it all mixed up inside the baggie, but it did make getting a really good fill in this weirdly shaped repair super clean and easy. I decided to do a few layers of this so that it could cure properly all the way through. And after my first bit had set, it only takes about 15 minutes, I added one more frame piece onto the top to kind of square it off. And then I just mixed up another batch on some cardboard this time and kept building. I also needed to do a little work on this bottom drawer that didn't quite escape the puppy, so I got some Bondo on there too, and then just worked around the rest of the dresser to fill in any of those smaller veneer chips that needed it. I ended up doing 3 separate layers of my filler on this big chunk, and once that bit was set, I pulled off my frame to see what I had. It was really nice and sturdy. All of the kind of toothy texture that was in this wood let the Bondo make a really nice strong bond, but I guess I didn't push it far down enough in the corner on my first pass because I missed this whole bit on the side. I put some 80 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander and just started shaping this a little bit. Bondo does usually get little air pockets in it anyways, so once I got it closer to the final shape, I'd know how much more filling I needed to do. Another layer to get that big hole, and the rest of the little chips along the bottom where I had blocked it off with my frame, and a few little bubbles on the front of this repair. And I also filled in the hardware holes on the top drawers while I was at it. That dried really quickly, so I just kept sanding to smooth everything out and get all of the sides nice and flush with the wood around it. And then I just kept on sanding the rest of the repairs that I'd made and scuffing up the original finish on the rest of the dresser. I wiped up all of the sanding dust with a damp microfiber cloth, but now because I had these repaired spots, some bare wood spots where I'd buffed out scratches, and a lot of the dresser that still had the original finish on it, I needed to apply a primer to get all of those different surfaces to the same state. I decided to use Kiehl's Restoration Primer, which is a water-based primer that has all the same benefits that I love about my tried and true shellac-based primer, but it's less expensive and way easier to clean up with just soap and water. It's a little bit too thick and sticky for me to want to put it through my sprayer, so I prefer to apply this with a roller. Well, that first coat of primer dried, I took the legs and all of the hardware outside and set everything up on a piece of cardboard to spray with some of this rust inhibiting metal primer. And once my primer was dry, I could still see some of the imperfections on the top here. I couldn't feel them when I rubbed my hand over, but I could definitely still see the texture. So I grabbed a can of drywall spackle to help me blend those in a little bit better. This is the best way that I've found to fill in these really shallow imperfections because it sticks to them really well and it sands down super smooth without pulling back out like a traditional wood filler tends to do. Once that dried, I sanded it flush with some 400 grit and then sealed it in with another layer of primer. back outside, this time with these little whistle knobs that I'm going to use on those top drawers. I gave these a scuff up too so that the gold spray paint that I'm going to use can get a really nice grip on here. I drilled out the new holes that I'll need on these two top drawers, just using the old holes as my reference point, and then started masking off all of the drawers to get them ready for paint. I decided to go with Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane Enamel in the color Tricorn Black. This is an alkyd style paint, which basically means it's got all of the durability and hardness of an oil-based paint, but it's in a low VOC, easy to clean, water-based formula. It's got some pretty incredible self-leveling properties. It has a 4-hour recoat time and it won't need any additional top coating. I'm going to spray it with my gravity-fed HVLP pneumatic sprayer because that's what I'm most comfortable with. But because it takes a little bit longer to dry, it actually brushes and rolls really nicely as well. I poured it through a paper paint strainer just to make sure there weren't any clumps in it. There shouldn't be in a fresh can of paint, but you never know. And then I put on my respirator and tested out my spray pattern on a piece of cardboard. Once I was happy with the flow of paint, I moved right over to the dresser and got to work. This paint is a little bit thicker than I usually like to put through this gun, but it did work well as long as I moved a little bit slower than usual. The next time I use this, I might try adding a splash of water to see if that helps. I set a timer on my phone and left everything to hang out for those 4 hours. And when I went back to the garage, I could still see a few of those imperfections on the top and a couple of roller marks from my primer too. Again, this wasn't stuff that I could feel when I ran my hand over, but I could see it. So I gave the top and then the rest of the dresser a pretty good scrub down with some 400 grit really fine sandpaper just to try and blend out that texture a little bit better before I sprayed on my second coat. I totally forgot about the legs out on the front lawn, so once I remembered, I used some delicate grip painter's tape to mask off my gold tips and then gave those 2 coats of paint as well. I left everything to set up overnight in the garage, and the next morning I started unwrapping everything so I could pull things back together. Once I got the legs reinstalled, I wasn't loving the look of this untidy bottom edge, so I just grabbed a little artist brush to clean that up and get a few little spots on the drawers that got missed. I got all of the hardware put back on and gave the drawers one last wipe out before bringing this thing inside for its final reveal. Here's one more look at the dresser that was written off and out for trash, and here is my new version of this thing, all fixed up and ready to go into a new home. I want to say a huge heartfelt thank you so much for watching along today. I hope this has given you some inspiration to tackle some of your own projects. Please leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts on this one. And also make sure you're subscribed for an eclectic mix of furniture fixing upping stories. And please share this video with anyone that you think could use it. I'll leave a few more videos here that you might want to watch next, and I will catch you all next time.